In the mysterious depths of the ocean, far from the prying eyes of humanity, an enormous amount of energy is constantly at play. This hidden power resides in the tectonic plates, massive slabs of the Earth's crust that float atop the molten mantle beneath. These plates are in a constant state of motion, shifting slowly over millions of years, colliding, sliding past, or pulling away from each other. The forces involved in these movements are immense, yet they often go unnoticed on the surface, until something changes. Occasionally, the tectonic plates lock against each other, building up pressure as they continue their inexorable movement. When the accumulated stress becomes too great, the plates suddenly snap back into place, releasing a colossal amount of energy in the form of an earthquake. If this earthquake occurs beneath the ocean floor, the sudden shift displaces an enormous volume of water, triggering a series of waves that race across the ocean at incredible speeds. This is the birth of a tsunami, a giant wave, or more accurately, a series of waves, born from the Earth's own shifting surface. But not all tsunamis are caused by earthquakes. Some begin with volcanic eruptions, where molten magma forces its way through cracks in the ocean floor, displacing water with equal force. The explosion of an underwater volcano can send a massive shock wave through the water, creating waves that ripple outward from the epicenter. These waves, too, are nearly invisible on the surface as they begin their journey across the ocean, but they carry the same potential for destruction. A nascent tsunami is almost imperceptible at first. Far out at sea, it may appear as a mere ripple, with a wave height of no more than a few feet. To an observer on a ship, it would seem like just another swell in the water, perhaps even less noticeable than the wind-driven waves that routinely form on the ocean's surface. The true power of a tsunami, however, lies beneath the surface. Unlike normal waves, which are only surface phenomena, tsunamis extend from the sea's surface all the way down to the ocean floor. This immense column of water moves in unison, carrying a tremendous amount of kinetic energy. The energy of a tsunami can travel great distances across the ocean, undiminished by time or distance. As the waves propagate outward from their origin, they can cross entire ocean basins. An earthquake in the Pacific Ocean can generate a tsunami that reaches the shores of Asia, North America, and even South America within hours. This ability to cover vast distances with minimal energy loss makes tsunamis one of nature's most formidable forces. As the tsunami travels through deep water, its speed is breathtaking, up to 500 to 800 kilometers per hour, about 310 to 500 miles per hour, roughly the speed of a commercial jetliner. Despite this speed, the waves remain deceptively small in deep water, with wave crests spaced hundreds of kilometers apart. The immense energy of the wave remains spread over a large area, hiding its destructive potential. But as these waves approach the coast and enter shallower water, everything changes. The friction between the wave and the seafloor causes the tsunami to slow down, but the energy it carries has nowhere to go. The wave begins to compress, and its height increases dramatically. What was once a barely noticeable ripple becomes a towering wall of water that rises higher and higher as it nears the shore. In the moments before impact, the ocean may pull back from the coastline, a phenomenon known as drawback, exposing the seafloor and leaving fish and seaweed stranded on the sand. Then, without warning, the water surges forward, unleashing its full force upon the unsuspecting land. A tsunami is born not just from the violence of the earth, but from a unique combination of geological processes that set it apart from any other natural phenomenon. It begins as a hidden force, a subtle shift in the ocean floor, but soon reveals itself as a powerful and unpredictable threat, capable of crossing entire oceans and transforming from a mere ripple into a devastating wall of water. It is an event that begins in the deep, unseen world beneath the waves, but whose impact reaches far beyond the shorelines of distant lands. To truly grasp the destructive potential of a tsunami, one must delve into the intricate science of wave dynamics. Unlike the familiar waves seen crashing on beaches, which are driven by the wind and affect only the upper layers of the ocean, a tsunami is a shallow water wave in which the entire column of water, from the surface to the seafloor, moves with great force. This is what makes tsunamis so different, and so deadly. When a tsunami is generated, its energy extends throughout the entire depth of the ocean, from the surface to the bottom. The wave's energy is distributed across its vast wavelength, which can be hundreds of kilometers long. This wavelength is the key to understanding why a tsunami can travel so fast and so far without losing its power. In deep ocean water, the tsunami wave moves at speeds of 500 to 800 km per hour, 310 to 500 miles per hour, but the wave height remains small, often less than a meter, around 3 feet. The speed of a tsunami is determined by the depth of the water it travels through. The deeper the water, the faster the wave moves. Mathematically, the speed of a tsunami is proportional to the square root of the depth of the water. This means that in the deep ocean, where the depth can be several kilometers, the wave can travel at incredible speeds. However, this speed is not immediately apparent because the energy is spread over such a long wavelength. As the tsunami approaches the shallower waters near the coast, its speed decreases. But the conservation of energy principle dictates that when the speed decreases, the wave must grow taller. As the water becomes shallower, the energy that was once spread over a vast depth is compressed into a smaller vertical space, causing the wave height to increase dramatically. This process is known as shoaling, and it transforms the wave from a fast-moving ripple into a towering, fast-moving wall of water. This transformation is a complex interplay of fluid dynamics, gravity, and the frictional forces between the ocean floor and the water above. As the wave slows down, the crest of the wave begins to catch up with the base, leading to a dramatic increase in height. The wave can rise up to 30 meters, about 100 feet, or more, towering over coastal buildings and infrastructure. The first wave may not always be the largest. Subsequent waves can be even more powerful and destructive, arriving minutes or even hours after the first one has struck. The impact of a tsunami is not limited to the coastline. When the wave crashes ashore, it brings with it an immense amount of kinetic energy. Water, one of the densest and heaviest substances on Earth, moves with extraordinary force. When a tsunami hits, it is not just water that rushes inland, but also debris, trees, cars, boats, pieces of buildings, all carried with the surge. The water can inundate several kilometers inland, depending on the topography of the region, sweeping away everything in its path. Moreover, a tsunami's destructive power is amplified by the phenomenon of wave amplification. When a tsunami enters a confined area, such as a bay, harbor, or narrow strait, the wave's energy becomes focused, causing it to rise even higher. This is why some areas experience far greater damage than others. The geography of the coastline plays a crucial role in determining the impact. Understanding these scientific principles is essential for predicting where and how tsunamis will strike, but they also highlight the inherent unpredictability of these natural disasters. Every coastline has its unique features, and every tsunami behaves differently, depending on a multitude of factors such as the magnitude and location of the underwater earthquake, the depth of the water, and the shape of the seafloor. To further complicate matters, the ocean itself is a dynamic and ever-changing environment. Underwater landslides, which can be triggered by earthquakes or volcanic activity, can also generate tsunamis. These landslides can create a sudden displacement of water similar to an earthquake, leading to a tsunami with little to no warning. In some cases, the waves generated by these underwater landslides can be even more localized but just as devastating as those caused by seismic events. The science of tsunamis reveals the terrifying truth. They are not only born from the immense forces within the Earth but are also shaped by a complex interplay of oceanic and atmospheric conditions. The resulting waves are a unique combination of speed, size, and force, unlike any other natural phenomenon, making tsunamis one of the most unpredictable and destructive forces on the planet. The impact of a tsunami is measured not only in scientific terms or the physical devastation it leaves behind but also in the profound and often tragic human stories that emerge in its wake. For those who live through these terrifying events, the experience is one of confusion, fear, and resilience. The Unseen Terror, a village on the edge in the early hours of December 26, 2004, residents of a small fishing village along the coast of Sumatra began their day like any other. The sun was just beginning to rise over the horizon, casting a warm glow over the calm waters of the Indian Ocean. Fishermen prepared their boats for the day's catch, and children played along the shore, oblivious to the forces building deep beneath the ocean's surface. Suddenly, the ground shook violently. Buildings swayed and collapsed, and the sea seemed to draw a deep breath as the water pulled back from the shore, exposing the ocean floor. Fish flopped helplessly on the wet sand, and a strange silence fell over the village. Some residents, aware of the stories of a drawback that often precedes a tsunami, screamed warnings and ran for higher ground. Others stood frozen in shock, watching the sea recede with a mixture of awe and confusion. Then, within minutes, the sea returned with a deafening roar. A wall of water, nearly 30 meters high, rushed toward the shore, obliterating everything in its path. Wooden houses were splintered into matchsticks, fishing boats were hurled inland like toys, and the once bustling village was reduced to a landscape of mud and debris. Those who had heeded the warnings and fled to higher ground could only watch in horror as their homes and loved ones were swept away. For survivors like Rena, a mother of two, the memory of that day is etched in her mind with painful clarity. I remember hearing a deep rumble, like thunder coming from the sea, she recalls. When the water pulled back, I grabbed my children and ran. We reached a hill just in time to see the wave come crashing in. The sound was like nothing I had ever heard before, like the roar of 1,000 lions. Rena and her children survived, but her husband, who was fishing at the time, was lost to the waves. Cities in chaos, the aftermath in Sri Lanka. The devastation of the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami was not confined to small villages. Entire cities along the coastlines of Sri Lanka, India, Thailand, and other countries were left in ruins. In Sri Lanka, the city of Galle, a popular tourist destination, was particularly hard hit. Tourists and locals alike were caught off guard as the waves surged through the streets, sweeping away cars, buses, and people. The bustling marketplace was transformed into a chaotic sea of debris in seconds. For Sunil, a local tour guide, the tsunami struck with little warning. I was with a group of tourists near the old Dutch fort when we heard a loud noise, like a train coming, he says. We turned and saw the wave approaching. I shouted for everyone to run, but there was no time. The water came so fast. Sunil managed to grab a young child and run to the higher ground within the fort's walls, where they watched in horror as the wave swallowed everything below. The survivors faced unimaginable challenges in the hours and days following the tsunami. There was no electricity, no clean water, and no means of communication. Many were trapped in isolated pockets of destruction, cut off from rescue efforts. Hospitals were overwhelmed, and makeshift clinics were set up in the ruins of schools and community centers. Bodies lay scattered in the streets, and the air was thick with the smell of salt water and decay. Yet, amid the chaos, stories of resilience and solidarity emerged. Local fishermen turned their boats into rescue vessels, ferrying people to safety. Strangers helped each other search for missing loved ones, sharing what little food and water they had. International aid workers arrived, bringing supplies, medical aid, and hope to the devastated communities. The tsunami had taken much, but it also revealed the strength of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable adversity. Silent victims, the untold stories of island communities. While the 2004 tsunami is perhaps the most widely known, it is far from the only event of its kind. In 2011, a massive undersea earthquake off the coast of Japan triggered another devastating tsunami. Entire communities along Japan's northeastern coast were wiped out, and the waves reached as far as 10 kilometers inland in some areas. For island communities, such as those in Indonesia, the Pacific Islands, and even Alaska, the threat of tsunamis is a constant, if often overlooked, danger. In 1946, a powerful earthquake in the Aleutian Islands of Alaska generated a tsunami that struck the Hawaiian Islands, killing over 150 people. Survivors in the small fishing village of Hilo still recount the terrifying events of that day. The water receded suddenly, as it often does, revealing the seabed, which had never been exposed before. Then, with a terrible roar, the ocean surged back with waves over 9 meters high. Entire families were lost, and the village was nearly destroyed. The stories of survivors reveal the common threads that run through every tsunami: the unexpectedness of the event, the speed and power of the waves, the chaos and destruction that follow, and the incredible resilience of those who survive. For each survivor, the memory of the wave remains, a haunting reminder of nature's power and their own fragile place within it. While tsunamis are among the most unpredictable of natural disasters, advancements in science and technology have made it possible to detect the conditions that lead to their formation. The race against time. Detecting underwater earthquakes. The first step in predicting a tsunami is detecting the undersea earthquakes that often trigger them. The global network of seismographs, known as the Global Seismographic Network, GSN, plays a crucial role in this process. When an earthquake occurs, it sends shockwaves, seismic waves, through the Earth. These waves are picked up by seismographs worldwide, which measure their strength and location. If an earthquake is detected beneath the ocean and is of sufficient magnitude, usually 7.0 or greater on the Richter scale, it may trigger a tsunami. However, not all underwater earthquakes generate tsunamis. The earthquake's depth, location, and type of faulting all influence whether a tsunami will occur. Shallow earthquakes, particularly those that involve vertical displacement of the ocean floor, are more likely to create tsunamis. Therefore, once an earthquake is detected, scientists must quickly assess its potential to cause a tsunami. In addition to seismic data, scientists use a network of deep ocean sensors known as DART, Deep Ocean Assessment and Reporting of Tsunamis, buoys, to detect changes in sea level. These buoys are positioned in areas where tsunamis are most likely to originate. They measure pressure changes on the ocean floor, which can indicate the passage of a tsunami wave. When a significant pressure change is detected, the buoy sends an alert via satellite to monitoring stations on land. The warning network, from detection to dissemination. Once a potential tsunami is detected, the next challenge is to communicate the warning to those at risk. This involves a complex network of international, national, and local agencies working in tandem to ensure that warnings reach people quickly and efficiently. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center, PTWC, based in Hawaii, is one of the primary agencies responsible for issuing tsunami warnings across the Pacific Ocean. It monitors seismic activity around the clock and issues alerts when a tsunami threat is detected. In the Indian Ocean, the Indian Ocean Tsunami Warning and Mitigation System, IOTWS, serves a similar function, as does the Japan Meteorological Agency, JMA, in the Northwest Pacific. When a tsunami warning is issued, it is broadcast through multiple channels: radio, television, mobile phone networks, social media, and public announcement systems. In many coastal communities, sirens are also used to alert residents to the impending danger. Local authorities may issue evacuation orders, directing people to higher ground or designated safe zones. Challenges in early warning: the unpredictable nature of tsunamis. Despite these advances, predicting tsunamis remains fraught with challenges. The first challenge is the inherent unpredictability of tsunamis themselves. While scientists can detect the undersea earthquakes that often cause tsunamis, predicting the exact size, speed, and path of the resulting waves is much more difficult. Variables such as the topography of the seafloor, the depth and magnitude of the earthquake, and even the weather can all affect a tsunami's behavior. False alarms are also a significant concern. Because the cost of a false alarm, evacuating entire cities, halting economic activity, and causing panic, can be enormous, warning centers must be careful to avoid issuing unnecessary alerts. However, the risk of underestimating a tsunami's threat is far greater. Balancing these two risks is a delicate task that requires constant refinement of detection and warning technologies. Moreover, not all countries have the same level of access to early warning technology or the resources to implement effective evacuation plans. In many developing nations, coastal communities lack the infrastructure or awareness needed to respond quickly to a tsunami warning. The Indian Ocean tsunami of 2004, for example, highlighted the disparities in warning and response capabilities between countries. Innovations on the horizon: AI, satellite monitoring, and community education. To overcome these challenges, scientists and engineers are developing new tools and techniques for tsunami detection and warning. Artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning algorithms are being trained to analyze seismic data more quickly and accurately, reducing the time it takes to issue a warning. Satellite technology is being used to monitor sea level changes in real time, providing a more comprehensive picture of ocean activity. Community education is also a critical component of tsunami preparedness. In many high-risk areas, local governments and NGOs are working to educate residents about the signs of an impending tsunami, such as a rapid drawdown of the sea, and the appropriate steps to take if a warning is issued. Drills, evacuation plans, and public awareness campaigns are helping to build a culture of preparedness that can save lives when the next tsunami strikes. By combining advanced technology with community awareness, the goal is to transform tsunamis from unpredictable catastrophes into manageable threats. While it may never be possible to predict every tsunami perfectly, these efforts are making it increasingly likely that those in their path will have the time and knowledge needed to reach safety. In the face of the unpredictable and often devastating force of tsunamis, communities worldwide are beginning to shift from a mindset of mere survival to one of resilience. Building resilience against tsunamis means preparing for them before they happen, reducing their impact when they do, and recovering as quickly as possible afterward. Reimagining coastal infrastructure, from vulnerability to strength. One of the most critical steps in building resilience against tsunamis is redesigning coastal infrastructure to withstand the impact of powerful waves. Traditional coastal communities, often built close to the shoreline to facilitate fishing and trade, are particularly vulnerable. As tsunamis can strike with little warning, having robust infrastructure that can either absorb the impact or redirect the force of incoming waves is essential. Many coastal cities are now turning to innovative engineering solutions to protect their inhabitants and properties. In Japan, for instance, coastal barriers known as tsunami seawalls have been constructed to help shield towns from incoming waves. These walls are designed to break the force of a tsunami, reducing the water's speed and energy before it reaches populated areas. Following the devastating 2011 tsunami, Japan invested heavily in rebuilding and fortifying these walls, making them taller, stronger, and more strategically positioned along vulnerable coastlines. Other infrastructure adaptations include designing buildings to withstand flooding and wave impact. In many tsunami-prone regions, such as Indonesia and Chile, architects and engineers are using elevated foundations, flexible building materials, and reinforced structures to minimize damage. These buildings are designed to let water flow through them rather than resist it, reducing the risk of collapse. Schools, hospitals, and emergency shelters are often built on stilts or elevated platforms to keep them above the reach of tsunami waves, ensuring they remain functional even in the aftermath of a disaster. Green infrastructure also plays a vital role in building resilience. Mangroves, coral reefs, and coastal wetlands act as natural barriers against tsunamis, absorbing wave energy and reducing the force of impact. Countries like Indonesia, India, and the Philippines are investing in restoring and preserving these natural defenses. Mangrove reforestation projects, for example, help stabilize shorelines, protect against erosion, and provide critical habitats for marine life. By combining man-made and natural defenses, these regions are creating a more comprehensive approach to tsunami risk reduction. Community preparedness. Educating and empowering local populations' infrastructure alone cannot prevent loss of life in a tsunami. Equally important is community preparedness, ensuring that people know what to do before, during, and after a tsunami. Education and awareness are key components of this strategy, transforming vulnerable populations into informed, empowered communities that can act swiftly in the face of danger. In the aftermath of the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, many countries realized that their populations lacked basic knowledge about tsunamis and how to respond. Today, public awareness campaigns, community drills, and school programs are commonplace in coastal regions around the world. In Japan, children are taught from an early age to recognize the signs of a tsunami, such as an earthquake or a sudden withdrawal of the sea, and to evacuate immediately to higher ground. Community tsunami drills are held regularly, where residents practice evacuation routes, locate designated safe zones, and learn how to assist those with mobility challenges. In Indonesia, local governments and non-governmental organizations, NGOs, work together to distribute educational materials, such as illustrated guides and posters, in local languages. Radio stations broadcast tsunami warnings and safety instructions, ensuring that even those without access to the internet or television are informed. Community leaders play a critical role in these efforts, organizing grassroots campaigns, and acting as trusted sources of information during emergencies. Furthermore, the introduction of tsunami evacuation towers is helping save lives in densely populated, low-lying coastal areas where there is little time to escape. These towers, constructed in countries like Japan, Indonesia, and Chile, are tall, robust structures designed to provide immediate shelter to residents and tourists during a tsunami. Equipped with supplies like food, water, and first aid kits, they are strategically placed along evacuation routes and in vulnerable neighborhoods, offering a safe haven when natural high ground is too far to reach. Technology and innovation. Harnessing the power of data technology is at the forefront of tsunami resilience efforts, providing tools to predict, detect, and respond more effectively to potential threats. Beyond early warning systems, new technological innovations are emerging to monitor tsunamis and mitigate their impact. One such innovation is the use of satellite-based remote sensing to monitor changes in sea level and ocean activity in real time. These satellites can detect even subtle shifts in the ocean's surface, providing early indicators of possible tsunamis. This data is integrated with seismic monitoring systems to create more accurate and timely predictions. In addition to remote sensing, artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning are being employed to analyze vast amounts of seismic and oceanographic data. These technologies help identify patterns and correlations that might not be immediately apparent, allowing scientists to better understand the conditions that lead to tsunamis and predict their occurrence with greater accuracy. AI is also used to optimize evacuation routes and manage emergency responses, ensuring that resources are deployed where they are most needed. Communications technology is also playing a crucial role. In recent years, mobile apps and social media platforms have become vital tools for disseminating tsunami warnings and safety information. Apps like Tsunami Alert provide real-time updates, while social media networks allow local authorities to communicate directly with the public. In areas with limited internet connectivity, satellite phones and radio networks ensure that warnings reach even the most remote communities. The role of international cooperation, a global effort to mitigate tsunami risks. Tsunamis do not respect national borders. Their impact can be felt across oceans, affecting multiple countries in a matter of hours. As such, international cooperation is essential to mitigating tsunami risks. Organizations like UNESCO's Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission, IOC, and the World Meteorological Organization, WMO, coordinate global efforts to monitor, predict, and respond to tsunamis. The Indian Ocean Tsunami Warning and Mitigation System, IOTWS, established after the 2004 disaster, is a prime example of international cooperation in action. This system links the tsunami warning centers of 28 countries, facilitating real-time data sharing and coordinated response efforts. Regular joint exercises are conducted to test the system's effectiveness, simulate different tsunami scenarios, and improve cross-border communication. In addition to technical cooperation, international funding is critical. Many tsunami-prone countries lack the financial resources to invest in early warning systems, resilient infrastructure, or community education programs. International aid organizations, such as the Red Cross and the World Bank, provide grants and technical assistance to support these efforts. The Global Facility for Disaster Reduction and Recovery, GFDRR, offers funding to low- and middle-income countries to enhance their disaster resilience, focusing on areas like risk assessment, early warning, and infrastructure investment. The path forward, a continuous process of learning and adapting. Building resilience against tsunamis is not a one-time effort but an ongoing process of learning, adaptation, and improvement. Every tsunami provides new lessons, revealing gaps in preparedness, response, and recovery efforts. By analyzing these events and incorporating the lessons learned into future planning, communities worldwide can become better equipped to handle the next wave. In many ways, tsunamis are a stark reminder of our planet's dynamic nature and the limits of human control. Yet, they also highlight our capacity for innovation, cooperation, and resilience. Through continued investment in science, technology, education, and international collaboration, the world can work towards a future where tsunamis, while still fearsome, are less deadly and less destructive. Ultimately, building resilience means accepting that tsunamis are an inevitable part of life for millions of people around the world, but that with the right strategies, we can reduce their impact, protect our communities, and preserve lives. The challenge is immense, but so too is the potential for progress. As history has shown, humanity is capable of rising to meet even the most formidable of natural forces, adapting and thriving in the face of adversity.